Good Monday morning, everybody. It is August 9th, and we're just looking at the markets for the day. Interesting overnight price action, actually. So we had this consolidation from, it was the 5th, whatever day that was. It was like Wednesday or Thursday here. And you could see the price level from the volume profile, right here, okay? And so you can see I marked out that level. My line's a little bit low. You can move it up a touch. And this is our overnight price action on the 15-minute chart. And look, this was an untested level. So it's, kind of a naked level. And we can see that our price action came right to it. Nice little rebound. And then we had this next little level here from all this consolidation. This was in the morning on Friday. And you can see that that's kind of holding us back right now. This is also just under our channel, our larger channel. So let's zoom out. Let's take a look at this 1 hour. And pretty soon I'll be able to clean up some of these lines here once we're more definitively out of this range. But you can see what we might have from Friday is just simply a probe of the range highs and then ultimately a rejection. That's kind of what it's looking like. Get that lined up. There we go. So yeah, you can see we kind of popped up and then rejected down. If we look at it more from like an 8-hour standpoint, we kind of just barely got to close above. We got one full candle above and then popped down, depending on what time frame you're looking at, and we're just sort of like kind of holding above the range right now. All right, this is the daily. So it's a really also interesting to see throughout this entire thing, we never got a close below range. That's why these bars stay blue. And so this stayed, bulls stayed in control of this whole consolidation. Just something worth noting. But anyhow, looking at the 4 hour, yeah, we're just barely above the range right now. And, we'll kind of see how the open goes. This touchdown here, this little retest to me is kind of nice. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we just get a nice push up from here, but we'll see because we are teasing with the top end of this, of this auction that we've been in since ultimately end of July here. And again, just to kind of pull back a little bit and remind ourselves of what we're dealing with here. So this is what our whole auction looks like. Our main point of control has just been bouncing around. It was up here, now it's back down here again. I mean, this thing's been sort of all over the place. And so actually we'll put this back up here. Move this one back down. This is our main POC. This is just like almost a POC. It's another high volume node right here. Look how much volume there is right there, right? And that's what we retested off of. So that's also kind of interesting. This is from this larger auction. That's a really high vol. There was a big consolidation there because I don't think all that volume was there prior to last week. I mean, it was a little bit, but right in here, you can't see it on the 4 hour, but there was that consolidation and a ton of volume came in on that and created that big node there. So I think as long as we stay above that, we're kind of all right. And what we'd want to see then, and we talk about this a lot, is we'd want to see volume building up here to show acceptance above this auction, right? So this was the auction that we were in, and now we're popping above it. This did trail off into basically like no volume. And you can see we built a decent amount of volume. I mean, we came up here and pretty much all day Friday was just consolidating up above here. And that was a sign of price acceptance. And then we just get a little retest, no big deal, just a little retest of this previous high. There was a consolidation here right under that high level, right? So consolidating underneath the resistance and getting ready to push up. And that gives us, then that new naked level that got tested right there. And then, if we rally up from there, that would be pretty cool. I kind of regret actually not, a lot of times on Fridays, I'm just sort of done for the week and I kind of check out, and I don't like to check the charts on Sundays because I'm with my kids and stuff. So, but I wish I would have had a little trade on there on that little level. That would have been nice. Could have taken that right off the 15-minute chart. But, hindsight's always 20/20, right? So anyway, let's take a look at what we should think about for today. So again, we've got this test of the lower end of the channel. I mean, that was a perfect test of that lower end of the channel. Now that double bottom, is a little bit concerning. We might, if we get a deep pullback, that might get taken out. There's going to be a ton of stop loss orders under there. And it's a little bit of a, little bit of like an incomplete auction kind of thing, but you know, we'll address that when we get to it. We don't need to concern ourselves with that today unless we start falling super hard. And but otherwise, you know, we've got this push up, low, up again. You know, this level, I'm just going to take this out. That's done. And this was a previous value area high. We don't need that anymore. I'm just going to kind of clean this up a little bit. This low volume node is not nearly as significant as it was. Let's just take that out of there. Again, we'll address those things if we need to. This is not nearly as significant as it was anymore. Let's get that out of there. Just trying to clean this up a touch because we just had so many of these sort of key interesting levels here. And this one I'm going to keep because this is sort of like, this is almost the point of control, and it's been gyrating back and forth between these two levels, depending on the day, and sometimes also depending on the time frame because of how detailed the profile will be based on your time frame. So you can see here, it's actually up here if we go to the 5-minute. So it's a little bit tricky. And that might depend on your data provider as well. So just something to think about there. But anyway, let's take a look at this. All right, 4 hour, what does it look like? It looks like a strong, aggressive push up, pull back, push up to new highs, pull back again. So let's take a look at what we might want to expect within there. Okay, so yes, a retest of this level and then this level. Now this one got tested, so I'm not sure if it's going to come down here or not. Right? You see how that's still that point of control, and that's also was the point of control from that larger auction. So I'm really not sure if we're going to come down there because we tested this one right here. That's the one that we did in the overnight move, right? So that looks pretty good. So if we do continue coming down, look to 4402 for some support. I don't know if I'd trade off that level because it is kind of the main. Again, this and this are both, depending on your time frame and your data, they're both going to look like the main point of control. So I'll make them both kind of thick, right? So I don't know if I'd take a trade off of that because a lot of times, you know, if it comes down here, it might get sucked all the way to here. And a lot of times when we come to the main point of control of a larger auction, we end up going through it a little bit and testing the lower end of that auction. So just be aware of that. Aside from that, right, we're just consolidating underneath this area. Let's bring this, let's see what that line there is from. That's probably from a small time frame, but you can see it's kind of holding, right? Probably put that line in Friday, probably from this consolidation. Yeah, so we had this consolidation and then this kind of aggressive move up. It wasn't really, I mean, it was aggressive buying and then already got retested. So like this level could have been traded all day. You can see, I personally didn't because once things get tested so many times, you sort of start to wonder if it's going to go through. We can see it did go through in the overnight session. And now we're back up underneath it and then actually just popped up above. So if we kind of hold above this level, that's pretty good. And the one thing that we do want to be aware of then is if we look at our session volume. So this is where I'm going to put in yesterday's value area low. Yesterday's value area low, right? And then we're going to put in this level as yesterday's POC. Okay. Now, if we open above this purple line, which is at 44.2450, okay? If we open above that, then I think there's a high probability that we at the very least retest 44.29. Okay, so that's one trade idea for the day, is that if we open above 44, we'll call it 44.25, okay? If we open above 44.25 or if we move up into that space, especially early in the day, look for a potential retest of 44.29, okay? So that's kind of trading idea number one. That might be kind of the only real big idea here because there's not a lot else that looks interesting in here. right? That same level from this consolidation, from this kind of reversal. See, there's volume there. It's the only place that there's really any interesting volume. This was such a low volume move. A little bit of volume here as we kind of started to pause a little bit at some of this, right? This is where that volume came from. This consolidation here. See, so we kind of blew through it and then came up and tested it from the underside. And then there's just not really anything else interesting in there to test beyond that 44.29 level. And maybe look a little bit up here, but it kind of depends where you draw that. See, so I think 44.29 looks very interesting, but your stop is a little bit tricky because this is all overnight price action, and again, we might come up and test, probe some of these higher things here. So I would look at that more as a target rather than a level to take short off of. But it's definitely a level that is interesting that we want to be aware of. And then everything else, once we came down here, this price action was pretty efficient. So we came back, if we look at any interesting levels from down here, these all got, this one got blown right through. This level here, basically where the volume started in this consolidation, got tested. Whoops. So we'll consider this, right? This level here, consolidation, and then test of that, and then nice aggressive push up from that. Then same thing here, right? Where that level got tested, we created another little accumulation area down here, and this is a test of that. It didn't come quite to the POC, but depending on your, your time frame, if we might get a more detailed look, and maybe it did, but regardless, I would consider this a test of this accumulation area personally. It might just be this move down right here, regardless, I consider this whole thing spent. We might get a little bit more support down there, but look how, this is thin volume. I'm not, we don't want to put a lot of weight on that. And then everything here is just really sideways. So this is, probably an accumulation because it looks like we're pushing up, but we'll see when the market opens, we'll see what happens. We might come up and we might already touch this before the open. We got 30 minutes, so we might touch 44.29 if we get a big, last minute rally. Otherwise, go to the 1 minute time frame, look for an entry. Right now we're above yesterday's value area low, so look for an entry with something to base your support off of, something to put your stop against, and then target 44.29. It's not a huge move. It's 5 points. It's not a huge move, but it is a high probability move. And so something that we want to be aware of. And just to be on the safe side, let's just look at this whole thing again. Yeah, even on the small time frame, that level's pretty solid. So I'd look at that as a target. Kind of almost tested it here too, so we might get some resistance there. That's kind of it. It's Monday, so we're just going to play the market by ear. We'll see how things unfold. I'll be trading live in our Discord channel. You can join us for free at dpmtrades.com. Just click on community, and that'll give you instructions on how to sign up to the Discord channel. And we do have a paid area as well if you want access to some of our custom indicators. But otherwise, I always encourage people just to join the free room. And it's just a nice community. I don't run the trade room for profit. So I have a small fee for the paid version. It kind of helps to cover my expenses. But otherwise, I run it for fun. I enjoy trading. I enjoy teaching. So yeah, either I'll see you in the room or I'll check in on another day of pre-market analysis.